Good evening and welcome to a very special birthday edition of the Hugh Hatrick Show. That's right, it's a new name. I've only got a thumbnail, but there'll be a video coming very, very soon. And let me welcome the birthday boy himself. It is Andrew Marr. Hello, Andrew.
Oh, me? Yes, I'm 12 today.
Many times over.
12 months.
You know. There you go. We have Helen as well in the background there, giving, I'm sure, good wisdom to Andrew as we go through the show.
Yeah, she's got a stick. She's going to hit me with it. Horrible woman.
So, what have you been doing for your birthday?
Well, I woke up and then I stayed in bed and then I had a coffee and then Helen came round and we played video games and then she disappeared and then she came back again. On the weekend, it was the Real Air Show. Now, last year, Real Air Show was quite good. They had the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight with a big Lancaster bomber and a Spitfire and a Hurricane, and they had Typhoon, which was superb, and they had some boring stuff that sounded like, you know, if you got like 8 buzzy bees going bzzz, they had some of them and they were boring, and then they had the Red Arrows. This year, because it's real, they only had the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. I did see was it a Tiger Moth? Tiger Moth. You know the ones in World War II that they used, the biplanes, they used them in World War II with a torpedo. You could see it from my home, from Colwyn Bay, with some binoculars.
Yeah.
So I didn't go because it was rubbish.
We've got 4 or 5 watching, which is fantastic. We've got Richie, we've got Pagan Ant, we've got Simon Jerry, and we've got Keith Will own you all the way from, I'm sure, a very sunny Arizona. And it's now they're saying, sawfish and hammer's head.
Swordfish, that's what, swordfish.
Yeah. It's great to see you all. It's fantastic to be back, and I have very, very good news for you all. Although I don't know if I'll say it's good news, but we're back. We're actually going to be back on a regular basis.
Woo!
Because I have a new job, and that means that I've got time during the day and also a few evenings as well here and there. But it will be regular, at least once a week. So we'll be able to do streaming of gaming like GT7, and hopefully as well we'll be getting some interviews. So we are definitely back, and not with a vengeance, but back hopefully with a purpose, to bring you some great fun racing and to see how on earth we can get on with GT7 as it is, because it's all changed. There's been so many updates. Oh, we've got Gopher Community Racing as well now. Is that Andy? I wonder if that's Andy that watching too. So yes, so on that topic of GT7, my goodness me, I do drive buses. I do indeed drive buses, Richie. But now I've got a school bus, so I'm limited to just 62 miles an hour. But it's just in the morning and in the afternoon. But it's it's good to see you, Andy. Confirmed, Andy, who is one of the fastest guys on GT7. My goodness, he is pulling times that make me go, oh.
Is that Gopher Community Racing?
Yes. Yeah, Andy's community
yes,
is really good. And he's so fast. He just seems to just tear away and just leave me for dead. And I'm like thinking, where not to find 2 seconds on a GT3 track, wherever it might be. But yeah, so that's the thing. Now I have just literally before we came on stream, I was doing this week's multiplayer races, and I did a race A with the GT. Well, I said a time trial for it's a Renault Clio RS, which is great fun actually. They're really, really good fun. And also I did Group B, Race B, which is Group 4, which is tough. It's really tough to get a good time. But in the end, I got a 140.2, which is okay, not brilliant, but it's okay. And then I did Group 3, which is at I've just gone straight away. It's that new one of the new tracks that was in the original GT series, and it's Group 3. It's not Road Atlanta. What's the one? It's that one. It's got the long straight and the hairpin at the front at the start.
Fuji?
No, it's a made up track. It's a Gran Turismo special.
Oh, is it Trial Mountain?
Not that one, but you're close. Deep Forest. Thank you.
Forest.
Thank you. We've got a very sharp audience tonight watching. Thank you. That you're going to need it because I'm certainly not sharp. So it's I need the sharpness from the audience to help me. So yes, and I managed to get a 126.9 in the end, which is it's a tricky one. But I'd be very keen to know what people think of this week's races, and also just how GT7 has changed. Because when it first came out, because you actually had it before me, Andrew, when you got GT7, you did have it before me, and it was quite different in the way you played the game, as you do now, isn't it? The feel is slightly different, and it's tough.
Completely different. It's changed. I really liked it. I know a lot of people didn't. Some people thought it was because to me it felt more like a real car. And I know a lot of people who don't drive, or that they're quite young and they're used to playing Gran Turismo 7, Gran Turismo Sport. Sorry, not 7. They were used to it feeling like a game. So I never really got on with GTS that well. It was okay, but I never really got on. Really enjoyed it. And then when I got onto GT7, it was like a revelation.
Yeah.
It was much better. And then when I got my wheel and pedals, it was like
wow,
a whole new
changes
world.
Everything, doesn't it?
And then, of course, they sort of bowed to the criticisms from people going, oh, it doesn't feel the same anymore. And of course, there's a lot of us were saying, well, no, it's got better. Because now that the physics are more advanced, it's more like a car. I mean, surely that's what we're wanting. We're wanting something that's like a car. So the steering feel was great. People were complaining that they couldn't stamp on the throttle and it just go down the road. That the back end would go on it and all this kind of stuff. And that's been sort of dialed out of it. And now I find it a lot less enjoyable, personally.
Although, to be fair, I think they have changed some of it back. Because especially in Group 4 and Group 3, you can't just stamp on the throttle when you come out of a corner, especially a hairpin. Because I mean, I've done that enough today in the Supra, and it's just come round to my frustration. I didn't lose this. I actually didn't get my hair cut. Excuse me. The frustration of thing. But it's just DOGT. Good to see you. Good to see you. We've got loads of people coming into the comment.
Oh, we've got Vorta Racing's in there as well.
Oh, what's it? All the way from America.
Everybody's here.
Nice. Coming from lots of all around the world. It's great to see you. Well, the good news, hopefully you'll find it good news, is that we are back, and I'll be streaming GT7 for the next wee while, and it will be at least once a week, hopefully for a good 2 hour, if not a bit more, stream. So it's going to be
back on Thursdays. Are we doing the old Thursday thing? That's what we used to do.
Whether it'll be on a Thursday, I'm not quite sure, but I would love to do some interviews again because it was so much fun, and here I can do it in the comfort of my living room. So if you'd like to share in the living room space with me on a Thursday or whatever night it might be, it would be lovely to have you along, because there's so many new GT racers. That's the thing. There's lots of new streamers who have done really well. You have been talking about like Digit Gaming. He's become very popular.
So fast. Well, he's popular, but he's so fast as well. It's really annoying. It's like watching him. You know, I like to kind of watch what people are doing, and watching the way he modulates his braking and the accelerator when he's coming out of a corner. I mean, if I'm doing any braking, it's usually either too much braking or not enough braking, and he seems to be able to sort of to brake and then lift and just have a little bit of trail braking as he's going around a corner, and he's 10 seconds faster than anybody. He's just so quick. I think he was doing. I've not actually watched him for a while. I've been busy doing other stuff, but I was watching something, and he ended up being 11th fastest in the world, and he's just thinking, this guy's properly quick.
Like Jack Balding still puts in top 5 times.
Does he?
And I've got so there's lots of guys that are out there doing really good times, and then there's me about 4 seconds behind them. I laugh.
But says hello to you.
Oh, yes, and Jerry says, "Is it a warm living room?" It is indeed. It is. Actually, I'm not. As a true Scotsman, I hate putting the heating on, and I've not had to put it on at the end of May. So it is warm,
I need to just
and it is decent.
Actually fell off. I just.
So I've just been buying lots of racing memorabilia there, which looks rather good. That in fact, my wall, the wall behind me looks like it's.
This is a 1990. I think it's 93. Was it, Ant? 92, 93.
Ooh, nice.
Replica, and you got both sides. So it's very heavy. So of course it fell off the wall. Didn't break though. That's good.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So what we're thinking about doing is obviously doing GT7, and Andrew hopefully will be able to join me on occasion as well, but to help with maybe perhaps some commentary. Or he's supposed to be my engineer, a very good engineer.
Oh yes, race engineer. I'm great at that.
Yeah, and I've got a new Elgato 60S with brand new high-speed HD leads, which I'm supposed to be trying to put together. So that should keep the picture
Because
quality.
the last time we tried to do that was hilarious. We were meant to be doing
the sound
stream.
right. So
Yeah,
we're
I
going to
can't remember what happened, but it was bad. It was very bad.
We're going to have Jeff from the Sim Cafe, and he's going to be getting the setup right and making sure, because we had it actually quite nice at the end when we were streaming a couple of years back, and we had a really good balance with it, and hopefully with the new cables.
Well, didn't you tell me you hadn't switched your PC on in a year?
But it'd been about 8 months because when I got my PS, literally all I did when I had a wee minute in between the bus driving and I wanted to take out my frustrations, I would put on GT7 and try and race and do really badly, either being taken out or just not being able to drive the cars.
Frankly, a lot of the daily races that I've seen people stream, apart from a very small number of people that seem to find streams with decent, clean drivers, anything you go on is exactly like Newcastle upon Tyne and it's driving in that area. So
Well, I did the race. Now, what was it? It was the last of the Nürburgring GP races on Sunday night about 10 o'clock. And it was in Group 4, and I hadn't really done a very good time. The funny thing was they were all recommending using like the Jaguar. I think was it the Jaguar?
Is it the F type?
Yeah, the F type.
Nice little chassis, that.
Yeah, nice. But I was way off. I was like doing like a 206, which was kind of really, really slow. So then I changed to the Subaru, the WRX Subaru, and I got a 204 in the end, which wasn't too bad. I think it was something like a 204.4 or something, which wasn't too bad. But yeah, it's fun.
Simon's just asking whether I'm your engineer on the bus, and said no, because if I was the engineer on his bus, his brakes would have worked. Because in his previous company, the brakes, well, the actual, what we'll loosely call the engineer, he didn't quite understand the concept of brakes or steering. Steering wasn't that important either, was it? He was like, well, I don't understand what your problem is.
Would the audience?
You need to go around a corner.
Would they like to hear the story of my closest ever overtake?
Go on then.
Because
yes,
I'm very happy to. And now that I've left the company, as long as none of them are watching, it should be fine. But what it was, anyone who knows these Scottish border roads, there's a great route as you come back from Fulden, which is just near Churnside, coming into Berwick. And it was a lovely day, and there were lots of tourists about. And I got stuck behind this very slow Mondeo.
Oh, this one. This story. Yes.
Closest ever overtake in any car or anything with four. Well, this does have six wheels, to be fair, but in any vehicle. And I do tend to I scare my wife rigid by doing Alonso-style overtakes, where you literally come out for a possible minute when you've got a few millimeters to spare, and then you come straight out.
On the buses in this company, a bit like when you go go-karting in a local fair, and if you go a few times, you get to know which one's got the best engine.
Yes.
and on this day, you had the one with the best engine.
I had the one with the best engine, and actually, to be fair, the most manageable brakes. So it was
progressive braking on a bus.
Yeah, a long wheelbase Optare. In fact, I'm quite keen to see it does have a camera on it. I would be very keen to see the dash cam.
You wanted to download it, didn't you?
I'd love to see the dash cam footage.
Whatever you do,
I would upload it. If I uploaded it,
you'd be like,
millions of views.
Hello, is that Mr. Hatrick? This is PC Plod here. I believe doing 90 miles an hour in a bus is illegal.
No, this was all well within
sorry, it's Borders tourists, so they're only doing 15 anyway.
Yeah. This was doing about 35 to 40 miles an hour, to be fair.
It's a band. We have them here in Northwest Wales as well. They see this. They can go on tiny little roads with people parked both sides, kids running out in front of you, doors opening, no problem. They do 90 down there. Yeah. As soon as they see a sheep and a dry stone wall, or the possibility of having to use main beam, that for the Americans among us, that's hat beam. If you're from the south, hat beam. They suddenly, it's like.
Well, this was on an A road, so it's a 60 mile an hour limit, and they were doing about 35 to 40, and now 40 on the straight, 35 round the bends.
Okay,
and I can pick that up easily in my Optare bus. So I kind of came round the bend, up over the hill, and past the farmyard. And the thing was, I was getting closer and closer, and I thought, you know what, I've been waiting to see if I can get past. And it was on an A road, so it was actually a very legal manoeuvre. We were all within the limit, within the speed
Good.
limit. And there's
Excellent
lots of little
stuff.
dips, not hidden dips, but just dips. So normally I would kind of come out and give a reasonable amount of room. And an Optare, it has the wheels in front of you rather than a Dennis bus, which has them behind you. So it makes it harder. It's easier to steer, better ride quality. But you have to remember that the sides of the bus are exactly where they are. Whether on the Alexander Dennis, kind of
It's
turn, and then it kind of turns
a
behind you.
1960s Mini, proper Mini, not modern Mini, BMW thing of the bus world. Yes.
Yes, yeah, it's actually quite
One
decent.
at each corner, so you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought, right, let's time to go. We'll go for it. I built up the speed. I could see that they were, they had the hat on the back with the dog guards, and they had the straw hat. So I knew they weren't going to do much more than 40 as they were driving along. And so I came down the hill, and of course, this last little dip gave me even more acceleration. So instead of kind of coming out maybe a couple of meters, 2 meters to spare, I literally came out with, it was like that. And I honestly thought my front left side was going to do a pit maneuver on the back of their one tail, and I came right out this. And then, of course, you've got
know
to turn
the size of your vehicle.
left.
That's all it
Yeah,
is,
you've got to
mate.
turn to the left to try and kind of keep it stable. Keep it in the right, keep it straight, because it wasn't massively wide here. It is an A road. So I managed
So
to do
it had
that.
a little bit of a camber on the road, and
Yeah,
you
so I
were
had to
having
steer right, then steer left, and then keep it straight and keep going. And there we are, and leg it past them.
Did you
as
have
much as
flappy
I could.
paddles on this bus, or was it like a proper?
It's
gear?
an automatic, but unfortunately, but it was, to be fair, it had. Well, I overtook them quite easily, and by the time I got past, and even round the next corner and coming into, it would have been Hallandon Hill, which is a beautiful bit with us. That's where Scotland and England fought many wars, and it changed
Isn't that called everything above York?
Yeah. I mean, basically, it changed
York
many
obviously.
times. By the time I got to there, he was already at the start of the straight, so I had gone that past. So I must have gone a wee bit of a shock to be passed by the 260 bus to Berwick.
Imagine everybody going.
It was something. But that was my best ever, and certainly my closest ever manoeuvre. And then I managed to get past in, obviously, and cut in and drive on. But it was when afterwards, it was one of those times when you think, that was quite a bit closer than I would have liked. But it worked.
But it worked.
It worked.
Out. It's no
It was
problem.
like a kind of touring car-esque
Me
overtaking.
and Ant went on a bus. We went on a number 51 to Denby, and then to Wrexham, and then we came back from Wrexham, and there was road closures, and this was a double-decker one, and it's really nice. When you consider this isn't actually Snowdonia, this is just these are the Clwydian Hills,
Oh, yeah.
and the Berdawen Hills, and all this kind of stuff. And you go, whee! And this guy was a bit late because he had to ring up the depot and say, which way do I go then? Because they've blocked off most of my route in Wrexham, so he had to find another way. Got back on his route, but he's 10-15 minutes late then. So he's doing these tiny little sweeping roads, which were great. They'd be real fun on a bike or a little little car like that. On a double-decker bus,
They're
on the
quite
top
good.
deck.
The new Alexander Dennis buses are brilliant, actually. The double deckers are.
I
they
was
handle quite
really impressed. I was having the time of my life, and not quite so much. We can ask him in the chat whether he enjoyed it as much as I did. Ants, did you enjoy it as much as I did? I was, because you're signing, woohoo! This guy was great. I nearly sort of like congratulated him, and asked him if he'd ever thought of rally driving.
Well, we've got a kind of like Eau Rouge. It's we've kind of got like an Eau Rouge corner. Down near just on the road to Almouth, from Alnwick to Almouth.
So this is a left-hander.
Yep,
at the bottom of a hill,
and it goes to the right up the hill.
So you've got an Eau Rouge and a Radion.
Yeah, you can't kind of cut it because there's a tree, and also it's blind, so people tend to cut it coming down the way. But when it's dark or if it's bright and you can see from the top of the hill as you come down, you can see if any cars are actually coming. So you get a good idea of how much you can go down. And in the new Alexander Dennis buses, my goodness, we used to have great fun because it was an advisory of 30 miles an hour to go down there. But we had the thing hitting off the 55, 60 limiter. It was brilliant. It was fantastic. And one time I actually had the stability control come in on the new bus. It'd only done about 3,000 or 4,000 miles. And that made it almost lethal because it immediately started to hit the brakes. and he didn't really want that.
Oh, one of those where it just uses the ABS as well.
Yeah. So it was
nannying. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
I remember when they brought sort of electronic counter steering in on BMWs, some kind of BMW 5 Series.
Oh yes, they had that. It was active steering.
Oh my goodness!
Change the steering.
What that? So, and I'm reading Car Magazine like I used to in those days, and they're driving this car along, and suddenly the car starts trying to do things for you, and you're like, so you're fighting it, and it's doing something else, and you're so what are you doing? You nearly crash.
Yeah.
Because what the hell's going on? The computer doesn't know how to drive.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah. That was. Oh, I have to say, when I drove a BMW 5 Series with active steering, it was at a big company car day, and I was the only one that liked it, and everyone else, he says, people haven't given us very good feedback. What do you think? I thought I quite liked it because I think I had it on a sport mode, so I'd put it so that it was like a F1 steering lock. It would kind of make the steering much closer or much shorter, so you didn't have to.
Oh, I see. Oh, so this actually altered the lock.
It was quite good that way, and I put it straight on sport. Oh, there's the thing. Simon was saying he's at the Silverstone Festival on Saturday.
Yes, they've changed the name, haven't it? It used to be called the Silverstone Classic, didn't it?
Yeah.
Harry's Garage mentioned it because the Silverstone auctions have changed their name to something that makes no sense.
I think Lewis Hamilton was supposed to appear at that. They're not having some good big guests.
Great.
But I
think the problem is if they have too many F1 people there, they'll just bring out a red flag and nothing will happen. Because Formula One is now changing its name, or I'm going to email them and ask them to change the name so that it describes what really happens. It's going to be called Red Flag Racing. Red Flag Racing, or alternatively, let's go behind the safety car.
Similarly, Sunday's race was quite action-packed.
Because it rained, and then they had a red flag. So I just switched off the radio.
Did they have a red though? It actually stopped.
Oh yeah, right near the end. Well, because it rained again. It rained twice.
Yeah.
It rained near the end, and then it was like. And ironically, they got this new guy because they're doing a really good job of commentary. They've now got a new guy that's replaced the fella that John Nichols of his name, Jack Nichols.
Oh yeah.
And he's got a new fella, and he was doing okay. He says "two" like Boris Johnson impressionists say it. Like that. But apart from that, he seems okay until this weekend when they decided, instead of commentating on what's going on, that they would, because they've got Danny Ricciardo's broken his hand.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's just got back into Formula One and he's broken his hand by crashing. So that's going well for him. And they got this new fella called Larry the Lamb or something. Is it? I can't remember what his name is.
Oh, is it Larry? He's not in F1, isn't he? He's driving. Yeah, he's replaced him.
He's replaced him. So it's an LL. So this is Formula One is now so fascinating, so fascinating. They spent half an hour trying to think of Formula One drivers that have the same first and last letters of their names, the surname and their forename, and it's like, wow, that's so amazing, that's so interesting.
No, they have a great way of managing to miss all the closest, all the
everything.
And then they come.
People complain about me missing bits when I'm doing commentary, when I can't see everything, but I don't remember doing something that dumb.
Now, perhaps Keith only might know the answer to this one. The Vegas Grand Prix is coming up very soon, isn't it? Because you're in Arizona, so you're not too far away from Vegas, aren't you? You're just basically next door.
Well, they're both very hot.
Yes, yeah.
Nevada and Arizona, I'm not going to say are the same place because they're not.
No, but yeah, so that could be interesting. I mean, I can understand why they would want. I think even more than Miami, I think Vegas could be quite a good situation for it because it
can't be more boring than Miami.
Yeah,
let's face it. Because one of the problems I have with it, if I had $100,000, I'd go. If I had $100,000, I'd go to America, but not go.
Yeah.
I'd find somewhere nice in America, like the Rockies or something, and.
Although there's something about now, what's the thing? Because people don't know who's watching from America. Reno is kind of like the second Vegas, isn't it? But just done on a kind of cheaper way, and because Reno's got lots of kind of gambling.
I keep thinking, what's the one? Atlantic City, isn't that like another Vegas?
Yeah. But it's
cheaper.
No, it's quite a thing. But
Las Vegas, yes, that's right. It was literally in the parking area, wasn't it?
It's quite a thing, isn't it?
Which, well, I mean, To be fair, so's the one in France. That's in a Tesco's car park.
Yeah.
Isn't it? The one in
Paul
France. Paul Ricard, what the hell? Well, what was wrong with Manicourt? Manicourt's an excellent circuit. They had great racing. They had that fantastic hairpin at the end.
Had a few people killed there. A few people got killed at Manicourt. Yeah, some
really
big accidents. Because it's got concrete walls and a lot of hairpins, and people had some quite serious accidents.
It's been so long since I've seen it, I can't remember.
Yeah. Now, Keith makes a very good point, and I'm sure...
Let's have a look.
It will be a great show all around the race, but we'll see about the race though, and that's true. I have to say, when I watched the Miami Grand Prix live this year, and it's true. I mean, they brought them out like gladiators. They had a guy, a kind of rapper.
Yeah, they're doing that kind of stuff now.
Lewis Hamilton. They had like cheerleaders and dancers and all this music going and all this stuff.
Have you heard what the F1 drivers are saying about it? That it's dumb and they're sick of it and they don't want to do it anymore. Because it is. It's stupid. Just drive away. We don't need.
I think it'd be great. I think it was quite a good introduction.
Oh, what is wrong with you, Hatrick? Oh my God, have you been on drugs?
Cheap and fake is my new.
We've had. Well, that's pretty much what it is because Netflix has turned it into a soap opera.
I haven't even watched it.
They've got this mad idea. Okay, they've got this mad idea that racing is only fun if it's completely random who wins.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not racing.
Yeah.
Because racing is when you get the skill. I mean, if I was skillful, I would be fast. And if I was fast, I would win more. And then people could go, oh, look, Roo, he's really fast because he's skillful. What does he do to make it skillful and win? No. Instead, I'm rubbish. And so I don't win. But if I was in modern Formula One, it'd be like, well, we need to represent everybody at the front. So, what can we do to make it happen? I mean, they're all doing it again. They're like, oh, Verstappen's winning.
They've banned everybody who was interesting. They've banned, what's his name, the one who, Bernie Eccleston. He's not allowed to come anymore.
Bernie?
Yeah, and then it wasn't Nelson Piquet, but somebody else.
We love Bernie. Bernie's great. Please don't shoot me.
But Bernie was very funny because he's a bit like kind of, what's his name? Oh, Alan Sugar. He would, he will say things point, and kind of, people weren't used to his responses. But
because he didn't give a damn, did he? He literally did not care what he said to people because he knew he could have them murdered any time. It was just like, so Bernie, what do you think of this? Because boring. We need to have something else happening. And you're like, okay.
On a positive note, to be fair, from listening to the qualifying and watching qualifying on Saturday, the cars are definitely they're definitely making a better sound than they did before. I'd be lovely to get
the little farty things are still awful.
1.6.
Oh, come on! This is like saying that, I don't know, that if someone can hold a single note. This is like saying that the one member of Take That could hold a note sounded better than the ones that couldn't sing. Yes, he could. But compare him to, I don't know, Pavarotti or Alicia Moore or Rush, and he's still crap. So, no.
Well, I thought it was better than it has been in the past. But
you are being so nice. Are they paying you?
Are they?
Bring back V10s. I want to be able to hear Formula One from 4 miles away. I want to be able to know which engine it is that's going past, and not which version of a vacuum cleaner.
It is a bit in that way. Yeah, it's still not good, but at least you can hear the cars over the audience, right? Over the crowd. Which it didn't do at the start. Now, Keith has asked, do we ever watch IndyCar? Now, I have watched a little bit of IndyCar. And because I've been watching Romain Grosjean, because he does a lot.
Oh, has he killed anybody yet?
On YouTube. But yeah, and it's quite fun. It's proper, to be fair, there's some good racing. And those cars look really difficult to drive. Like, they do look like they've got to really watch the gears as they come out of the corners, because obviously there's a lot of power.
Screens on them, that they're equivalent to the Halo.
I do quite like
it. It does look different, doesn't it? It looks very different.
And I bet it will be a fraction of the cost of F1. I bet it'll be...
It's effectively the design that Red Bull came up with, wasn't it? Red Bull had that designed as their
Yeah.
version. At least you haven't got something stupid in the middle like this, you know.
Yeah.
Looks like if anyone tries to, you know, on Formula One cars. Yeah, the thing about Indy cars, I've not watched it for a very long time, but I watched it a little bit, and when there was kart and all that kind of stuff, because they were not talking to each other and they'd split into the two different streams, haven't they, and all this lot. And the problem I had with them was the same problem I got with Miami and all these American street circuits, is that you had a car park. It's the same problem I've got with Formula E.
Yeah.
People can't. The only way people overtake is by crashing into each other. That's literally the only way they do it.
Yeah, well, it's certainly very, very close, isn't it? I don't know if Dario Franchetti would agree, but certainly he commentates on. But
how many times did he win the Indy 500? I tried to watch the Indy 500 once. I'm thinking, well, this is like a blue ribbon event. You know, you've got Le Mans, you've got Monaco, you've got Indy 500, the biggest prize in motorsport. It's got to be worth watching. This is the speeds they get up to, 240, 250 mile an hour. Incredible speeds they get up there. And I've watched interviews with the likes of Mario Andretti and all these people. There's that little bit of the last bit of the brickworks, because it was all the other ones were made out of wood, but this was made out of bricks. And there's one little strip of bricks on the start finish straight, isn't there?
Yeah.
And they go over that, and like Mario Andretti was saying, that he hit this thing and the back end of the car came off and he landed and he had to control it, and he did those, and he told his pit crew, you know, and then I went this way and then I had to counter steer the other way and all that kind of stuff, and they went, you're nuts. We saw it. It lasted like that. All we saw was toom, and you know, incredible skill. You got to be able to do that. And so I thought I'll try and watch it. And what happened was, it was almost completely useless and boring and pointless, apart from the last 10 laps. Yeah. Because every time someone hit the wall, safety car came out, everybody comes into the pits, and suddenly whoever was in the lead, you don't even, they're at the back or something. I mean, it's like it was just random.
Yeah.
And then the last 10 laps seems to be what dictated who won. So you had 500 miles, 200 laps of this circuit, and the last 10 laps are the only bits worth bother watching with, because you had no idea what's going on. Yeah. And this is why it's the same problem I have with modern Formula One, and this attitude they have of fake jeopardy. It's just jeopardy, you don't know what's going on. Yeah, that's just called confusion. I mean, Biden, he doesn't know what's going on, but I don't think that's particularly entertaining. Well, no, that's true. It is quite entertaining, but it's still not what I call government. And in the same way, having no clue what's going on and having a red flag is not what I call racing. It's just
I suppose it all changes, and that's the thing. I mean, Formula One have had to be very careful now, because if any issues, they've had to bring out the safety car or red flag it, and then try, or do they keep going? And was it Australia? They had to, they've got 3 safety cars or 3 red flags and so on. It was quite a thing. But I missed a comment here from Simon. He said they had Cosworth V8s and Renault V10s at the weekend. And he just says,
see? That's what I'm talking about. Even a Renault sounds good when it's a V10.
Yeah. Well, remember when they had the V10 Renault going round Abu Dhabi, and I think Lewis Hamilton was doing an interview at the time, and then he had to kind of stop, because when it went past, he said, oh boy, that sounds good. I wish we had things like that. I think a lot of the drivers still want that kind of thing. And you kind of feel, why couldn't they do a V10 hybrid? Or do something to just combine it and make it incredible?
Because someone will decide it's something doesn't represent something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they want their net zero.
They'll shoot it.
But
it's racist. It's because it's racist. V10s are racist. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Just race.
Yeah, at least to be fair, I think F1 has tried to drop some of its kind of political correctness that it did over the last couple, in a little bit.
What are you talking about?
Well, they're not. At least they're not taking the knee anymore.
That's only because the entire world's told them to get stuffed.
Yeah, because they've had enough.
Oh my god!
But that was the thing that I used to just change the channel when that was on, and then go back to it once it had finished. But what's been quite funny though as well is some of the attempts to do the national anthems. Now, where was it? I don't know if it was Canada, and there was one, and it was absolutely awful. It was all done with sticks and kind of like this, and it was some weird kind of rhythm thing that they had. But I thought that's not going to do their country any good for tourism. Oh, so Simon is saying it's Villeneuve's 1997 Williams was a special guest car on demo. That would be a good one, actually, wouldn't it?
3 litre V10. revving to, well, there were about
Something
17,000
like
RPM
18,000,
in those
yeah,
days,
17,
17, 18.
18,000.
Well, they peaked at about 19, didn't they? And then they
Yeah,
put a cap on the revs,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is ridiculous. Leave it alone.
Aye, aye.
Helen was saying yesterday, Helen was saying yesterday, and she's only a woman. And she was saying, anyone that knows me knows I don't believe that. Well, no, I do believe she's a woman.
We're going to get fact
That I
checked.
believe.
I hope so.
However, this is Ant's just saying about Hamilton changing his pronouns and his. Yeah, and he probably will. His hair already looks like. Anyway, she was saying that it was meant to, or was it? No, it was Ant. It wasn't Helen. It was Ant who said it. Sorry, he is also a woman, and he was talking about how Formula One was meant to be about innovation and development and the pinnacle of technology, you know, and they keep reining it back for speed and safety. We kind of put up with that nonsense, but now they're not doing it for that. They're doing it.
It's going to go with a bit more, but I think it's lost its character a bit because it has been politicised.
Has no character. Formula One has no character. None of them have character. The closest thing we have to character in Formula One now is Max Verstappen.
Yeah, because he is quite kind of, he will say it as he sees it.
Basically, just goes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, it's quite an a very prickly to run. They need laptops
Yes, they are.
in the 90s
They
running
are.
MS-DOS.
Now they
Yeah.
can start themselves and everything. Back in those days, there's no battery, nothing like that.
Yeah,
you
you
had
couldn't
to have
restart.
it, turn it over to get the oil around it because the compression ratio and the tolerances were so high and all this kind of stuff. But that's how they got the power. Now they get the power by having a whacking great big barn door of a turbo attached to an electric motor. So that's why it's all torque.
But it has made it more efficient.
They're
Similarly,
the most
and now the hybrid
efficient
cars
petrol engines on the planet. 60% thermal efficiency. Now that's a gas turbine. That is.
Yeah.
Get
That's coming into some of the Mercedes cars. In fact, well, some of the Toyota hybrids as well that they've launched quite recently are actually doing MPG, like late 50s, early 60s, and
easy.
can actually sustain that if you do motorway speeds. Because a lot of them, they might say they can do 100 miles to the gallon because it's a hybrid. But when you actually go on a motorway, it does about 30 miles to the gallon. It's like a Range Rover Sport.
Well, my friend Paul, the close friend Paul, my oldest friend that I got left, he's got a Suzuki Vitara. Two-wheel drive. It's a 1 litre 3-cylinder turbo, no hybrid, nothing like that. And he's getting in the 60s to the gallon in that. But this thing pulls really well. I mean, we went on our kayaking holiday, and this thing's going through the mountains of Snowdonia with a rather large Canadian and a quite a heavy old-fashioned Piranha. It's called a Piranha plastic kayak.
Yeah.
On the back of it, it's like hills, 1 litre engine.
Yeah.
But doing 60 plus to the gallon, it's...
Yeah. It is amazing, actually. I just hope to see...
See what Simon said. Williams and McLaren are scouring the globe to find old laptops to run. Go to Africa, because apparently we used to have to give them in and they'd send them to Africa. So they need to go to Africa now to go and get them back.
Yeah. Now, here's a funny thing, because Race A, going back to GT7.
Yes.
Race A, it's a Renault Clio RS, which is a lovely car. And then when Tisley did his weekly guide yesterday...
Is this the 182? The 182?
I think it's actually the 200. It's the last version that they've made, which you can actually pick up in Britain for about $8,000 or less. A kind of leggy one, you'll get for $8,000, which is not bad. A lovely car, but they've put it on comfort soft tyres. So when you actually race it, it's horrendous. Now, normally, I have driven one as well, a company car a number of years ago, and it was a great machine. I mean, the grip was good, the consistency was great, and it was nowhere near as awkward as what it is on the game. Now, I wonder what people in the audience think. Do you find that, what do you think of road cars? Because obviously there's a way to drive them, but do you think Gran Turismo actually does a decent interpretation of a road car in these races? Or do you think because they put that awful tyres on, where normally you'd have maybe, a sports car like that would probably have sports tyres, let's face it.
Am I the only one that's noticed that if you get into any Gran Turismo car, either in GTS or GT7, and you don't get to fiddle with the suspension, as soon as you do anything, the back end goes on you. Front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, doesn't matter. back end,
Yeah.
whee, corner brakes, whee, corner turn, whee,
Yeah.
bang, ooh. This is
2 years
impossible.
ago, 3 years ago, in fact, just before COVID, I did a Mercedes-Benz day race day because I won this event by doing a lap time at company car.
This was
So I went,
in that coupe that you were in, wasn't
yeah,
it? That you
it
were
was in
going
the
around
yeah,
You're trying to
it
go on
was,
the skid pan, weren't you?
yeah, and it was
Yeah,
on the. I've got the video of it. It's on our channel,
it's on the channel.
and it was great fun. But the thing is, that car was actually easier to drive in real life than it was on the game. It was actually genuinely easier. And I thought, because I came into the corner and I backed off slightly, it turned the wheel and it was a hairpin and it was on the performance track and it turned like it knew exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is fantastic. This is not, on the game it would have understeered off. And that would have been it. So I think they're not getting it quite right with and maybe it's just the tires that they choose, and that makes the gameplay. But for me, it's frustrating because I think this should be more straightforward. It should kind of be more of a natural reaction to how you put your inputs, and it's not really on the game. It just seems like all or nothing, and it's quite hard to make that work.
I would actually love if they did like a Gran Turismo Street. Yeah, Grand Touring Street version where they got like you can do the Mille or because that's my favourite track to go on.
Yeah.
Sorry, world is the Nordschleife.
Oh
Because,
yes, yeah.
as I may have mentioned a couple of times before, it's like driving the A417 through Wales. So it's
Well,
like
that's going to be 20 mile an hour limits everywhere through Wales. Unfortunately, they've passed a law saying it's going to be 20 mile an hour limits. Is it in every?
Oh, they've already started it around here. Yeah.
So is it in every
Really-
town that it's? 20 mile
Oh,
an hour?
they're
That's going to be
stupid.
something.
It's the stupidest thing ever because, of course, it's probably for environmental reasons, except every car on the planet is designed to go at 30.
Yeah.
So now you're in between gears. You're either revving the gears too high in in a lower gear, or it's wrecking the engines. Yeah, it's all
It's
utter
crazy.
BS.
It's crazy.
BS.
Well, in terms of, we better look at wrapping this up because I did say to you it'll be 20 to 30 minutes, and it is your
yes,
birthday.
that's true. It's my birthday.
So we need
It's
to.
my birthday. It's my birthday.
Oh, I did watch a very funny program, by the way, yesterday. That was from a town in Wales that seemingly its most common food is kebabs. Similarly, and there are people in Wales that buy 3
real?
kebabs every day.
Was it
And one of
real?
I don't think it was real. It was further south than real, I think. It was in the south of Wales.
Cardiff.
But
Not Merthyr. It'd be Merthyr.
it might be. But similarly, they went into the kebab shop and said they have a customer who orders 3 kebabs a day. So morning, lunch, and supper. So I'm sure you could find a kebab. For
Oh
you.
no, there's a kebab shop just through that wall. Through the other wall, over the top.
And then-
It's called
and then
K
after-
and C, so it sounds like KFC, and they do all sorts of stuff. They're all right. It's kind of
Then after that,
I
you can
was wanting
show
a
Helen how
Chinese,
good you are on the GT7. You can
she's
show
already
her.
seen it. She's seen me in the Judge doing the Nordschleife. I was quite pleased with my lap time. It was less than. It wasn't less than 2 minutes.
It'll be about
It was
8
less than some minutes. I can't remember what it was. It might have been 8, 7, 6. It won't have been lower than 6. It won't have been near 6. But I really enjoyed it because what I love about the Judge is it's rear-wheel drive. It's got 7 gears. It sounds amazing, and I've got over 1,000 horsepower in it. So it's way too powerful for anything to do with that track. So everything I'm doing is controlling. It's like Jackie Stewart used to say, you've got to control your emotions. I'm controlling my wish to stick my foot to the floor because you just can't do it.
I know, that's it.
Any gear, it will just go woohoo like that.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
yeah, but
fine.
it sounds amazing.
So, in terms of coming back, because you'll be doing hopefully some commentary with me, or certainly commentating and helping on my engineering side.
Crew chief.
Yes.
See, Simon, we meant crew chief.
That's the one. And I know
That's
Keith
what we
was saying he
meant.
wants B-Spec back.
Thank you,
from
Simon.
Gran Turismo. Yes, which I remember B-Spec. That's when you could watch it, wasn't it? You could watch the cars go around on B-Spec, wasn't it? There was a way of.
What's that?
How did that all work again? B-Spec. It was when
what are
you.
we talking about?
It was
Is
instead
that
of
a game?
driving it, you watched it or something. You watched it, you set it up, and you could do something with it. And I'm trying to. That was from the really early ones on Gran Turismo.
Oh, I have no idea.
They've not done that for a wee while.
Well, Gran Turismo Sport was the first one I'd ever done. I might have done Gran Turismo 4 or 5, on somebody's Xbox or something,
It'd
and
be a
using the I
three
don't
would be
know.
or PS2.
I was using the twiddly things, and this is how you. So here's you got like a track. It was the Nordschleifer, and you go boing, 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 and that's how I did it. And that's when you said, "Oh, do you like sim racing?" And I'm like, "I don't know what that is, mate." Remember? Because it's just gone past our 4th anniversary, hasn't it?
Yes, it was 4 years.
21st was our 4th anniversary.
Yeah, 4 years since we did our first ever interview. But I'm really looking forward to getting back into it. And if anyone would like to be interviewed again or has ideas for people for me to interview and has potential connections, then I would love to interview them. And it would be super to get to do that because they used to work really well. And I think it's definitely time to see
People
how
liked it. People liked it because it was very unusual. You got all sorts of different people in, and you had some pretty good. I mean, it was great when you had. I personally think it was really good when you had people like I've forgotten his name. Oh my god!
What Super GT? Steve
No. I mean, he's a lovely bloke, etc. But I was thinking of the one who's South African, is a real racing driver.
Oh, David Perel. Yeah,
David Perel. I actually had his name when I started the sentence, and it just went. See, this is what happens. This is why I don't want to be old.
So yeah, no, he was really, really good.
But he also was really good with the sim racing as well, wasn't he? I mean, he was into both, and just a really charming, articulate man as well, wasn't he? And he was it 3 times you had him on?
Three times? To be honest, it was
nice.
The last time I had him. It was just over 2 years ago. It was 2 years past March. I just moved house. Didn't have any internet, so I had to do it at Jonathan's. So that was it. So it was. I had to get a laptop so I could actually do it because he said he'd be happy to do another interview. And so I thought I need to get the stuff. I need to get the tech working so I can actually do it. So yeah, no, that was the thing. And at that time, Jonathan had found an old Nigel Mansell cap in his house. Oh, Flash Dagger's in. Oh, it's good to see you, Flash Dagger. One of the fastest guys out there on YouTube and GT7, always doing phenomenal time trials. And in fact, I was watching one of Flash's streams the other day when he did a little bit of time trial, and he says, "Well, I'm sure we might just manage I think it was like a 2 minutes 19 at Spa." And I drove for about 2 hours to try and get a 2 minute 19 at Spa. And I got a 2:20.2, and I couldn't get anywhere else closer to it. But no, he's very, very good.
Do you have the same problem I have? I'm thinking you probably do. Where I love Spa and I love the Nordschleife. There's a couple of 3 tracks I just really like the flow of. Fuji's another one. Not Fuji. I hate Fuji. No, Suzuka. You know, you just get to a point where everything I'm trying to do is going into that area of lack of talent. So if I'm within my abilities, no problem at all. But then it's like, well, I'll just brake a little bit later for this one and turn in, and it's like, bang, you're in the wall. And it's like, okay, no, that didn't work. So let's try something else. Let's go a bit faster down this one, and then bang, you're in a wall. It's like,
It's all touch and go. It's like I'm sure the guys who have qualified who've actually achieved the highest level in GT Sport, which is certainly on the licenses. If you do the super license, the final challenge is you've got to do a lap. I think it's an old Porsche kind of sports car. You know, it's like a kind of Le Mans style car.
Okay. Oh, are you talking about the like when you get the bronze, silver, and gold and all that kind of stuff?
You've got to get under a 2:25 at Spa, and it's wet. With the kind of the track is drying, and it is so difficult. It's like got no brakes, no ABS, nothing, and you got to brake so early. And I think the best time I got was like a 2:26.8, and I tried it on Sunday night for a while just because I thought I'll have a go. And I couldn't. Well, there was one when I reckon I was doing maybe a 2:26, and around about that, maybe 2:26 dead, but I couldn't finish the lap to get there. I'd always crash coming around Blanchimont.
So you're up and you're up and you're up, and then that last little bit, isn't it? It's like
previous time because I did like a 2:29, and then all the other ones I was 3 seconds up earlier in the bit, so I could see where I was. And I couldn't get around Blanchimont. I'd always hit the green because there was big puddles, and I don't know how they do it. Some were doing like 2 minutes.
That last bit of Blanchimont before that last corner. I suppose it's after Blanchimont, isn't it? It's the last bit of it before you're approaching the bus stop chicane.
Yeah.
You can do it full throttle in some cars. But you've got to dance around it, haven't you?
Yeah, I don't know how they do. I know that Richie's done it. Richie got a 2:25 or 2:23. Okay. So quite a few guys have done it. So they must have watched the the videos or the put on the ghost to try and do it. I try and do it without that to try and
Yeah.
the skill, but I'm just not
Well,
skilled.
you watch Arkies. Arkies is great to watch with
Yeah,
these
he's
things.
very good.
And he's on a controller. I mean,
Yeah,
wow.
and I did actually invite
Horrible
Arkies a wee
man.
while ago in the summertime and asked him if he would like to do a
And he's
podcast.
such a lovely
He's a
bloke as
lovely guy,
well.
and he said
He's
yes. So I'm sure.
so wrong
Um,
in every way.
than that. But
Just
well, I'm
not
hoping that we should be able to do a podcast with Arkies, maybe just a very short one, and
cool.
about GT7, maybe even weekly. So
We should get on GT7, all three of us, where you and Arkies are going off in the distance, and I'm trying to catch up with you. And people
Well, I'm
can
not
go,
saying,
ah!
we're trying to see if we can all talk and all be on the same race or all be on the same track and also broadcast it live at the same
Yeah, we
time.
could have like
I
three
think that would be-
streams,
that would
can't
be
we?
fun.
We
We'll have
three
to do it.
streams of Oriental, one in a taxi, one in a car, one in a donkey at the back.
Blaster. Blaster is one of our most, I would say, one of our very loyal viewers who always gives a nice comment and things like that. So it's good to see you, Blaster. And everyone that's been watching tonight, it's really good to see it all back. I hope you're enjoying it, and we're going to get ready to do an awful lot more because I think this is the time as we come into the winter as well, in the autumn. More people have time to watch YouTube and things and that as the nights draw in. But hopefully we can get some good racing. Hopefully, I do have workmen coming next week to do work on the house, so it might be difficult to do a race.
Are you replacing the Pine because we're missing it?
Oh well,
Pinewood Studios died.
Listeners coming in. I spent about 2 days trying to take wallpaper and linen paper off a wall. So it's that's Flash Ferguson. That was a great day at Silverstone's. I mean, just
Have you been watching Simon's mad streams that he does? I mean, he does this Red Dead Redemption and all that kind of stuff.
Red Dead Redemption's fantastic.
Well, he does darts. Have you seen him do darts?
He's been doing darts.
Where they're all in their own little room and they're throwing
It's brilliant.
but they're all streaming what they're doing. It's just nuts, man. It's very inventive. Very inventive. We know we love Simon.
I haven't seen his videos of the festival though. I'll need to watch that.
Oh, okay.
You'll need to. I'll get that. We'll be doing more on this, so I'll be kind of rejuvenating everything. And next week, I hope to have Jeff from the Sim Cafe to get all my stuff sorted out so that we're ready.
We've not seen Jeff in yonks.
Yeah, he's doing well. He's doing well.
Is he still on YouTube or is he?
Yeah, his channel's going well.
Twitch as well.
Yeah, he does YouTube. Like Andy, and I think Andy's near 1,000. Andy from RA Shadow is nearly 1,000 subscribers. And that's what Jeff is aiming for too. We were at 554 at the start of the show.
554, yes.
So hopefully,
definitely. Well, you've not lost really. You've not lost any at all.
I've lost about 30
considering that you buggered off and left us all. You cow.
But we'll get them. Hopefully, we'll get them back. And but no, it's fantastic as to have everybody here, and hopefully to raise good news that we'll be back. Because I know that many of you have enjoyed the streams in the past, whether it be racing or interviews. And I think this is now the time. The opportunities have come up, and yes, I think it's. I would. There are a few people I would love to interview. So see what you think of this. How about Dario Franchetti? Did you think
that'd be ace because he's a lovely bloke, and I want to ask him lots of questions about Gordon Murray.
Yeah, well, I would because I've got connections through the Jim Clark Museum in Duns, and I'm hoping that I could maybe get him because I've got a few guys that know him and that say, look, he's in Scotland quite a bit. So it might.
Well, he is Scottish, you know.
Yeah, but it might be. I know, but he's international when he does all his stuff.
I'm just being
facetious. It could be something. But, so yeah, so we'll see. And I've always some other racing drivers. I've also got a potential to get Matt Neal, the touring car driver. You know, the touring car champion of many.
Matt Neal.
Yeah.
Do we dare ask him about the fights he keeps having with Jason Pluto?
Because you remember we interviewed James Rupert, who was the car expert.
Yes, we love James Rupert.
He knows beard. He went to school with him or something. I went to school with Matt.
No.
So they've got connections. So I'm hoping we might be able to do something with that because I think it would be amazing getting actual real racing drivers like David Perel and others. It always adds something to the channel when you can.
Well, we've been talking about doing something with James Rupert for years because he keeps saying he wants to do things.
Yeah. Well, that might be because what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a few different channels. This being the main one, but also. I'm going to make sure I'm going to have some other channels that will be more about cars as such, so a bit more not technical, but just more fun things with cars, which you and I can do with Jonathan and hopefully James as well. And then I've got another channel which I'm going to do other kind of church stuff, which I do as well. But it'll all be there. It'll be a range of stuff, and I'm looking forward to it. And I hope
I'm just being asked by Blaster. Mark, the birthday's been pretty good so far. pretty
Yeah.
good. This is a nice catch it, and then we're going to go get some food. Well, I believe it's food.
On that note, I will let you get some food. But it's been phenomenal to have a good chat with you, and stay on the line.
Oh, phenomenon.
Once it's all done. But to everybody watching, you've been watching the Hugh Hatrick show. I need to get a video. I'll have to go into Fiverr to get someone to do it. That's the thing. But we will get that sorted out. But have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much for watching and for commenting. And have a great week of racing. And whatever you're doing, I hope it goes well. And we'll see you on the next show.
May
Bye
the
just now, everyone.
Schwartz be with you.
Take care. Bye-bye.